Today it was announced that AEW will run its first television taping live on October 2nd. This is happening in Washington, D.C. at the Capital One Arena. The showtime is at 7:30 Eastern and the doors are at 6:30 Eastern. So it's looking like we're going to go live on television, Washington, D.C., October 2nd, 8 p.m. Eastern start time. There's some issues I have with the AEW TV deal that they have. What's going on, everybody? TonyPizzaGuy here, back again, and we have some issues we need to iron out here when it comes to AEW and their television deal, because they did announce today that they are going to be having their first television taping on October 2nd, and it's not going to be a taping. It's actually going to be live from Washington, D.C. Now, this sounds awesome. This sounds great. TNT, live wrestling. We're going to get it here first. But there are some glooming issues that I wanted to talk about, and maybe there's going to be a break from television here. We really need to get into it. So first and foremost, they're going live in Washington, D.C. at the Capital One Arena. I'm not so sure this is a great idea because I'm not sure that the Washington, D.C. crowd will be as good as a crowd, let's say Chicago, Philly, even New York. But maybe Washington, D.C. can have some crowd. This is AEW. They're a different ball game here. I believe that arena is looking at like 20,000 seaters, so I'm not sure if that's what they're looking to sell out, if they're going to be able to do that. If you take a look at pictures of the Capital One Arena, you can see what kind of they're working with here. So are they going to be able to sell this out? Is Washington, D.C. the right market for the first television taping? I'm not so sure that's true, but maybe they'll prove me wrong here. Maybe they will prove me wrong here when it comes to that. But there is a little bit more than I wanted to get into than just the arena, whether they'll sell it out, whether they're going to have a good show, well, all that stuff, right? You can predict that they're going to have a really good first show. It's going to be amazing. October 2nd is great. And actually what's happening on that Friday of the same week is when WWE moves SmackDown over to Fox. And that's going to be a huge deal for them. So there's going to be like one of the craziest weeks in professional wrestling right here with Monday Night Raw going on. Then AEW launches. NXT will be on the same night. Then we're going to get the launch of SmackDown on Fox. I think if there's one time to watch wrestling, it's that first week of October because we're going to get some crazy stuff here. But digging into this, right, I've always had very high regards for TNT. They did stuff with Nitro, WCW, TBS, Thunder, all that stuff. The Turner Network is known for professional wrestling. But when it all comes down to it, TNT has a main focus in the fall, leading through the spring, of the NBA. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to take a look at the schedule of the NBA, and I wanted to look at what actually is going on with NBA and how they're going to go. But it was unavailable to find that schedule. I could not find the TNT NBA schedule for this year. So what I did is I looked back into last year's schedule, 2018 up to early 2019, to figure out, will there be any conflict with AEW being on Wednesday nights and the NBA? Well, what I have learned through all my research is that the television schedule for NBA was that TNT would televise doubleheaders on 21 Thursdays and 10 Tuesdays throughout the regular season. So what that meant is that during the regular season, there would be no games on Wednesday nights, which is great. TNT hosting AEW Wednesday nights, they're not going to have any interference with NBA. But then I went ahead to look at what it's going to be during the playoff season and the finals and all that plays out. So I actually learned that doubleheaders during the schedule on Wednesday nights. April 17th, there was 2 games. April 24th, there was 2 games. May 1st, there was 1 game. May 8th, there was a doubleheader. And then May 15th, there was 1 game. So what does that mean? That means during the month of April and May, that's like one entire month, they were running NBA games on Wednesday nights. That isn't going to work for AEW when it comes to their Wednesday night schedule. That makes me wonder. That makes me guess here, right? The NBA probably has a higher marquee, a higher stack. You know, the totem pole. NBA's up here. AEW's down here. AEW's new. I just hit my mic. AEW's new. But that makes me wonder, did they know going into this television deal, AEW, that they were going to have to compete with the NBA? Because to get this television deal on TNT, you have to assume I have to assume, looking at this schedule, that they knew that there was going to be some NBA conflict, that they knew there was going to be some issues going forward. So knowing that they knew that, because NBA and TNT are synonymous, and they're not going to bump NBA for AEW. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen unless AEW comes out of the gate with like the highest ratings of all time. The NBA finals are huge rating draws. They're not going to bump it for AEW. So the logical thing looking at this schedule here is that AEW knew what they were getting with TNT, right? They wanted the TNT deal. There's mixed things about whether they paid to be on TNT, whether they didn't, whatever's happening here. What it looks to me is that they're going to be taking a short break during the NBA season. Maybe it'll be during the entire NBA season. Maybe it'll be just during the playoffs, which I think would be more feasible. If they took a break from that month in April to May and then came back, that would be their short break. In that time, what they could do, which could work, would be to run a pay-per-view. Run a pay-per-view during April and May, the middle there, 1 month, build up towards that, and then you're good to go because you come back right after that pay-per-view. Your television picks up right where it left off after the pay-per-view, and you're good to go. I have a feeling that that's kind of where they're going here when it comes to the NBA and TNT. Now, I don't know how long the contract is. We can only assume that it's a 1-year contract. Minimum television contract. For me, if you're going to sign anything, it would be a 1-year deal. I would say 1 year would be the minimum, so October to October. We will see. We will see if that deal is in place for a year. But I think knowing that they knew that NBA was going to be a big deal, that NBA was going to be a part of the TNT package, they could lead in AEW with NBA coverage. You know, hey, watch our All Elite Wrestling on Wednesday nights, because Tuesday nights is a TNT thing, so they could promote there. Then on Wednesday, they could promote the Thursday games for the NBA. So I think it's going to be a mutual beneficial here for both parties involved. And I think that we are going to see something a little bit different than we're not used to in professional wrestling. I honestly 100% predict, like I'm almost 99% sure. You know, I say 4 out of 5 dentists say this. Like I am 4 out of 5 on this, saying that we are going to receive a break in AEW programming. There is going to be a month without AEW programming. From May to April, we are going to have a break from AEW on TNT. Whether we're going to get a pay-per-view, a BR Live special, whatever it's going to be, we will see a break in AEW television there. Is this good? Is this bad? I'm not sure. There's always been rumors and people have proposed maybe we should do seasons in wrestling. Take some time off, do seasons. Well, the commercial that we saw for AEW, they said this is a weekly episodic show that's going to be happening on TNT. So it doesn't look like seasons are a thing that they're going to be doing. But I do think they could literally build up from what they have now, October, build up. If they want to do a pay-per-view there, they can. But their big pay-per-view in the beginning of 2019, if they're going to do one at the beginning of the year, they could. Maybe May. I think May would be a good spot for a pay-per-view. So maybe just save off like January, February, March, April. Then do one in May. So that's 4 months, right? January, February, March, April, May, do a pay-per-view. So let's say January, February, March, April. 5 months. I don't know. They said they were going to do like four big pay-per-views a year. So I think what we see here is that we could have that show in May, that big pay-per-view in May, and then that would be the standard that would set, okay, this is where we're going to go. And then they could take that break when the NBA finals actually kick off. Because honestly, again, TNT's not going to move their program, and they're not going to bump the NBA for AEW. The totem pole is set. NBA's up here, AEW's down here, and that's the fact. So it'll be interesting to see where this plays out. I just wanted to raise those concerns with you guys because I don't think it's really going to affect them, but I do see them, you know, if there are more NBA stuff, maybe there's a bigger NBA schedule than I know about. There was 1 month last year, I mean, the beginning of this year, that they had NBA on Wednesday nights. They had doubleheaders. They had one game. That's how it all played out. So it makes me wonder if that's going to be the case again this year, which doesn't seem any reason why not to. I'm sure they got very good ratings, and they're going to do that. So I think going into this, they knew this kind of programming was going to be a thing, and they're going to have to deal with it. And I think running a pay-per-view at that time would be perfect. Just have a little break there. Not take a break from programming altogether, but I feel like building every week, then having a really good pay-per-view on that time that they're not having television, It'd be just smart and perfect. And plus, they could run stuff on the internet. And we know they have Being the Elite. They've done all kinds of stuff. There's all kinds of things they could do. But I think we're really going to see a shift in the way that television wrestling is produced. We're going to have the AEW show, and then we're going to have some sort of break a little bit. I'm just guessing. I'm literally looking off the schedule and saying, this doesn't work. AEW doesn't fit in these months. Unless something's different. And they got some sort of agreement, some big deal here where they're not going to be bumped. I feel like they're going to be bumped, and they're going to take time off, have a big pay-per-view, BR Live, buy the pay-per-view, and then come back and you'll have like a fresh start. Well, not a fresh start, but, continue off where they left off. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Are you excited for AEW Washington, D.C.? Do you think that's a good fit or not? Are you excited for television? Do you think they're going to take that break? I honestly do. I literally think they're going to take a break because there's no other feasible way to think about it. NBA has some Wednesday nights that they need during the finals, and they're going to have them. As always, guys, that's where I'm going to leave you. Make sure you subscribe if you're not subscribed. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this. As always, I'm TonyPizzaGuy. We will see you in another video.